Donna the Accounting Lady. Today we're going to talk a little bit about your credit score. Now the housing market, at least here in Utah, I don't know about the rest of the country, is heating up a little bit. It is becoming more of a seller's market. Some of the incentives that were available just before the housing crash in 2008 are starting to become available again, things like seller financing. But you still have to have great credit. So let's talk about a few myths that impact your credit score. If you enjoy these videos, if you get anything out of them, enjoy them, think they're entertaining. I know that some of these topics are about as interesting as watching paint dry, but when you understand the theory behind them, I think they're fascinating. But you have to really kind of get into it, because otherwise it really is kind of boring. But if you find any value to these videos, please like, share, subscribe, comment below. Let me know what I can do and what subjects that you're most interested in that have to do with business, finance, accounting, and bookkeeping. And off we go. Let's talk about some of the myths behind keeping your credit score high. Now, just for a little bit of background, after my divorce, I had a credit score that didn't exist. I mean, I went to go buy a car and they said, you don't have a FICO score. I wanted to get into a house, couldn't get into a house, almost couldn't buy a car. It was really challenging. I ended up opening some lines of credit just to get proof that I could repay. And so things got really kind of crazy for a while. And now I have a pretty good credit score. I'm still working on getting it up there, but it is up in the upper average, you know. And that's gone from like 0 to the high 600s. So, and it's just a great feeling, by the way, when you have good credit and you can go anywhere and talk to someone about buying a car, and the first thing they say, what's your credit like? And you go, oh, it's great, I have good credit. As opposed to, well, yeah, I'm just going through all this stuff and nobody wants to finance you when you need help. But by proving that you can pay your bills and you pay them on time, that's what they want to see. So myth number 1 is, do you need to carry a balance on your credit cards to build credit? The answer to that is false. You do not need to carry a balance to build credit. What they're looking for is that you can use credit responsibly. So they actually want you to only carry or only utilize no more than 20 or 30% of your available credit lines. So if you have, $5,000 in available credit, they don't want you using more than $500 to $1,000 of that. So if you're paying off your credit card bill in full every month, you are improving your credit score, because then it's showing that you have a line of credit and you have 0 utilization. That actually looks really good to you. And there's no point in paying interest on something if you don't have to. Myth number 2, closing your credit cards will boost your score. No, it won't. Actually, it could make your score decline. Again, they have this ratio that they look for. How much credit do you have available to you versus how much you use? So when you close your lines, you're actually reducing the amount that's available to you, which means that the amount that you're utilizing as a percentage goes up, and that drops your score. So no, there's no need for you to close an unused credit card. In fact, I have a couple that I will use about once a month just to prove that I can use it, and then I rush right home and pay it off, and it's such a good feeling when you can do that too. Myth number 3, employers check your credit scores. I don't think I have ever had an employer check my credit score unless I was working in the finance sector. If you're looking for a job, I wouldn't even worry about that. I really, again, if you're working as a CFO, if you're working as a controller, if you have your little fingers in their money, they might. But you have to fill out a form and give them permission to check your credit score. They can't just check your credit score all kinds of willy-nilly. They may check your credit report, by the way, but that's not your score. It's an entirely different thing. Your report shows your lines and what maybe you're behind on, maybe you've let a student loan default, maybe you've had a car repo. That will show up on your report, but they don't care about your score. U.S. News and World Report says that, well, actually, Career Builder says that only 29% of employees do credit checks. Most of them don't. It's not really something you need to worry about. Again, if your job has financial responsibilities, then you might get into that. But unless you've got your hot little hands in their money, odds are pretty good they don't care. This can only be with a valid need. So again, if you are CFO, controller just means that you're a bookkeeper over a whole bunch of different entities. If you're the bookkeeper, then they might want to check that. But you can pull those reports once a year, or you can sign up to services like Credit Karma. Credit Karma does it for free all year. They have your credit report for you. All of my credit cards have a credit score and a way to pull my credit report. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get your credit reports for free. It's not like in the bad old days, like the 80s, when we wrote checks and actually used that thing to run credit cards. Everything's computerized now. Everything is out on the web. You can get your credit score and see what's on there and work on improving it. Myth number 4, you and your spouse have a joint credit card report. No, you don't. You don't actually. And you don't get as much benefit from being an authorized user on someone else's card. If you've only been an authorized user for decades, let's say you're a married woman, you've just always used your husband's credit, you've only ever been the authorized user, you've never actually been the account holder, you're going to have some credit, but at the same time, when they go to weight that, you're not responsible for paying the bill, is really what that comes down to. You're not going to get that credit, that boost of being responsible for your bills. And that's really what having a credit score is all about. You need to, ladies, I have known women, actually, I have known women who were just wonderful, amazing, powerful women whose husbands took care of a great deal for them. And when he passed away, they didn't know where his will was, where the insurance paperwork was, where, how to get into the bank, how to pay a bill. Some of them didn't even know how to put gas in their car. And so I'm a little bit cringy when I hear about I hear it from husbands a lot. Well, I just take care of all that for her. And I go, you're just doing her a tremendous disservice, because women live longer than men. And I really think it's because we live longer because we get rid of you guys first, and then it's actually single women live longer than married women, and married men live longer than single men. So that should tell you something. By about 10 years. Which means that marriage is stressful for women, but not for men. And that's a documented fact, folks. It's a disservice. Husbands, if you are one of those men who just want to take care of your wife and make sure that she has no concerns, you're doing her a disservice. One, you're giving her the message that she's too weak and too unintelligent to take care of her own credit. And another thing is, when you're gone, and the odds are pretty good you will be gone before her unless you're much younger, she won't know how to take care of this, and she needs to know. If anything happens to the husband, or however you have your family set up, both spouses need to know how to run the bills, how to budget. Both spouses in the 21st century need to have some sort of a career. And I know that I'm in the heartland of Utah, where it's very valued for moms to stay home. And I've been very fortunate that when my children were little, I was able to stay home. And I've been able to work from home. And that's been a tremendous blessing. But I still stand by this. Ladies, you need to have something that you can do in the event that your husband or your partner, significant other, boyfriend, however you have your family set up, In the event your partner predeceases you or is disabled, you need to have a way of taking care of the family. And that could be life insurance is a great stopgap. And if you're interested in life insurance, let me know. My brother is an agent for New York Life, so I'm always happy to send him referrals. I don't get anything out of that, by the way, except a hug and a visit. So there's no financial remuneration to me. But I've seen these women that are strong, capable, competent, and when the fact is we don't know what could happen tomorrow. I mean, I could get hit by an airplane going to check my mail on my very suburban lawn instead of, I could get hit by a car driving up to deposit a check. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't even know what 10 minutes from now brings. Life changes in the blink of an eye, and I've seen women especially women, because men tend to be more in control of this. These are tendencies. I'm not talking specifics. I'm speaking in very large generalities. I just have seen so many intelligent, competent, strong women just completely laid low over a spouse's death, not because they couldn't handle his death, which is hard enough, but they did not know how the finances were run. They didn't know what side of the car to put gas in. Which just flabbergasts me, but I actually do know women that don't know how to put fuel in their car. They don't know how to check the oil. They're kind of dependent on going to mechanic shops, Jiffy Lube, and places like that, just to check their fluids. And I'm just floored because I've been doing this for decades. So if you are the non-working spouse, my first suggestion would be find something that you love to do and find a way to make money from it that could be sufficient to cover your current lifestyle. It could be that you start studying how to sell so that you can step in as a salesperson of some kind, something as simple as that. But do learn how to provide for your family, even if you're the non-working spouse. Certainly know where your finances are, and understand that if you are not an account holder, if you are an authorized user on your spouse's credit cards, you're not building your credit. You need to have, even if it's one small credit card that you just use for groceries, and then you go home and you pay the grocery bill right then, that's going to look good for you. So there's 4 big myths and my thoughts after being divorced on, how to prepare for the worst. And that's about it. If you have any questions, make sure you're checking your credit scores, your credit reports at least once a year. It could be more often. You need TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And you can get those for free every year. You can check them through creditkarma.com as long as you can see what lines of credit are being added. This is a great way to check for fraud too. I did a show several months ago, I don't even remember how long ago it was, about the Experian breach, and that really highlighted for a lot of people the need to make sure that you know what your credit score is and you can see what's on your credit report, because it does happen that people get their identity stolen. It's never happened to me, knock on wood, but it does happen, and the first thing you want to be the first one to know. You want to know within 30 days of that bogus account being open so that you can contest it. And there's so many different ways that this happens. I remember walking through my neighborhood and realizing that someone was stealing mail out of the mailboxes and looking for cash in Christmas cards and things. It was at Christmas time. And it just flabbergasted me that someone would mess with someone else's mail, because I know our mail carrier. She's been my mail carrier for almost 20 years. And so I go out there and talk to her, and she said, yeah, it happens. And she's seen it. She hasn't seen it happen, but she does know it happens. It's not like she's watching people take my mail out of the mailboxes. But she has come back along and seen where envelopes have been ripped open and thrown on the ground. And she said that there's no way that the homeowners or the addressees have done that. So I don't leave mail in my mailbox. Yeah, that's it for tonight. If you have any questions, comments, make them nice and comment below. I would love to hear from you, and I will talk to you again soon.